Have you ever wondered what really happens to cats when they eat wet food every day? Many people think it's simple: wet food just tastes better than dry kibble. But inside a cat's body, there are actually many changes happening that most people never notice. Have you noticed this? Some cats drink so little water that you start wondering if they survive purely on sunlight. Their water bowl stays almost completely full from morning to night. But that's not necessarily because cats are lazy or overly picky. It's actually part of their survival instinct. The ancestors of modern cats were hunters that lived in dry environments. They got most of their hydration from prey like mice and small birds. Because of that, cats evolved with an extremely low thirst drive. In other words, their bodies were never really designed to constantly walk over and drink water the way humans do. The problem is that modern house cats eat way too much dry kibble. Dry food contains only around 10% moisture. Wet food, on the other hand, can contain nearly 80% water. That's actually very close to the moisture level found in natural prey in the wild. When you start feeding your cat wet food regularly, their body almost feels relieved. Their hydration levels improve. Their kidneys no longer have to work overtime like an exhausted employee at the end of the month. Their urine becomes more diluted, which helps reduce the risk of urinary crystals and blockages, something veterinarians see very often, especially in male cats. Some studies even show that cats eating wet food produce healthier and larger urine volumes compared to cats on dry food diets. And the interesting part is that you may not notice these changes immediately. Your cat still walks around with that cold, CEO reviewing company profits expression. But internally, their body is functioning in a much better hydrated state. And honestly, this becomes the foundation for many of the other benefits that happen later. But wait. Don't crown wet food as the superhero of cat nutrition just yet. Because near the end, there's one mistake many cat owners make without even realizing it. Have you noticed how so many indoor cats become increasingly round over time? At first, they're just a little chubby. A few years later, they evolve from cat into a walking steamed bun that meows. The funny thing is that many owners aren't even overfeeding them. Yet the cats still gain weight. Sometimes the problem isn't the amount of food. It's the type of food. Many dry kibbles contain extremely high levels of carbohydrates. Some brands contain more than 40%. But cats are obligate carnivores, and their bodies don't process carbs efficiently like humans do. To put it simply, you're feeding a highly specialized hunting machine something that's basically snack food. The excess energy easily turns into fat. When switching to wet food, things start changing. Wet food is usually higher in protein, lower in carbohydrates, higher in moisture. This combination helps cats stay full longer without consuming excessive calories. Protein creates a much stronger feeling of fullness than carbs do. That's why many cats stop giving you that suspicious stare 30 minutes after eating. Like, human, are you hiding more food somewhere? Some studies also suggest that cats eating wet food tend to maintain a leaner body shape even when allowed to eat relatively freely. In other words, cats aren't always greedy. Sometimes their bodies simply never truly felt satisfied before. And if your cat has become a little too adorable horizontally, the issue might not be overfeeding at all. It might just be the current bowl of food. And if you're now staring suspiciously at that bag of kibble in the corner, then yes, we're heading in the right direction. Some cats look like they just came home from an 8-step luxury spa treatment. Their fur is soft, shiny, and so fluffy you instantly want permission to hug them. But other cats have dry, rough coats that feel like tiny cleaning brushes, even when their owners take great care of them. And interestingly, the issue is not always about shampoo or grooming products. Sometimes it comes down to what the cat eats every single day. A cat's coat is basically a giant health report. When nutrition is poor, the fur becomes the first thing to reveal it. Dull fur, dryness, excessive shedding, flaky skin. Wet food is naturally rich in animal protein and healthy fats, two nutrients that are extremely important for skin and fur health. Meanwhile, many dry foods go through intense heat processing, which can reduce some nutrients before the cat even absorbs them. After a few weeks of eating wet food regularly, many owners begin noticing softer fur, less shedding, healthier skin. And honestly, it makes sense. When the body no longer has to focus entirely on survival, it finally has enough resources to invest in a beautiful coat. Kind of like how humans only start thinking about skincare after paying off debt. So if you've already tried fish oil, vitamins, expensive brushes, and fancy shampoos, but your cat still looks like it just finished a construction shift, the answer might actually be sitting inside that can of wet food. Have you ever been woken up by your cat at 4 a.m.? A single meow explodes through the darkness with the energy of a fire alarm. And then comes the full performance. Scratching the door, circling your legs, staring into your soul, pretending they're starving despite eating dinner 5 hours ago. Most people think that's just cat personality. But sometimes, your cat isn't actually greedy. Cats eating dry kibble often get hungry again faster because the food contains little moisture and large amounts of carbs. It digests quickly, pushing the body back into a still hungry state. So naturally, they keep begging for food. They eat too fast. They inhale meals. They stay mentally focused on food all day. When switching to wet food, that cycle starts to change. Protein creates stronger satiety. The extra moisture also adds physical volume to the meal. In simple terms, your cat's stomach finally receives the message. Okay, we're full now. And that can noticeably change behavior. Many cats become calmer around mealtime. Less screaming. Less food aggression. Less acting like they survived a historic famine every time you enter the kitchen. Of course, not every case comes from food alone. Some cats eat too fast because of stress or past competition with other animals. But even then, combining wet food with slow feeders or food puzzles can help significantly. When both their hunting instincts and fullness signals are satisfied, cats become far more relaxed. And your life becomes a little more peaceful too. At least until 4 a.m. tomorrow. Up to this point, wet food sounds almost perfect, right? But this is actually the most important part. Many people open a can of wet food, scoop it into the bowl, and leave it sitting out all day for the cat to snack on. The problem is that wet food doesn't behave like dry kibble. Dry food can sit outside for quite a while without major changes. Wet food cannot. The moment it reaches room temperature, bacteria begin multiplying rapidly, especially in warm weather. If your cat likes taking a few bites and walking away, the food may no longer be safe when they return later. And the scary part is, it may still look normal, it may still smell normal, meanwhile the bacteria are already throwing a full party inside it. The safety rules are actually simple. Never leave wet food out longer than 2 hours, throw away unfinished portions, refrigerate leftovers immediately, and ideally, use opened wet food within 48 hours. There's also another mistake many owners make, serving wet food straight from the refrigerator. Cats are naturally attracted to food that's close to the temperature of fresh prey. So cold wet food can feel less appealing to them. Just warming it slightly or adding a little warm water can make a huge difference. This doesn't mean you should stop feeding wet food. In fact, many of the benefits we talked about are completely real. The difference between wet food helping your cat thrive, or quietly causing problems, depends entirely on how you handle it after opening the can. And when done properly, you're feeding your cat in a way that's much closer to what their body was naturally designed for in the first place.